I'm Desley Bailey and this is my husband Rod. We are Homegrown Organics in Rollands Plains and we're also known as Masters of Fresh. When we were writing our mission statement, it was about how to help families and communities flourish. So not just in, what they eat, us feeding them food, but what sort of lifestyle do they need to live to have a flourishing family that teaches their children how to grow up to have a flourishing family. So it's much broader than just food.
We've always felt that part of our mission is not just provide nutrient-dense food for families, but also to encourage people to grow themselves. Teach their kids the joys of growing their own food, going out and picking their own lettuce or pulling their own carrots or whatever. And so when seedlings became really difficult to buy in nurseries, etc., when the COVID thing really hit and a lot of people woke up, we decided, one of the best things we could do is start selling seedlings to families. And one of Desley's customers, he said, you're mad. Why are you doing this? Because if you sell us seedlings, then we're not going to buy your veggies. And Desley was able to explain, well, our mission is deeper than just selling you veggies. Our mission is to help you and your family and your children flourish. And so by selling you seedlings and you going through the process of developing your soil and your garden and teaching your children how to be stewards and husbandmen, if you like, of these little plants and going through the process and then having the great joy of harvest, to us, or to him, he's like, oh wow, you're real. It was just like a nail in the trust coffin, if you like. Yeah, that guy trusts us because he recognises that we're not just in it for the money. So we've chosen to grow organically. That the concept of agroecology informs a lot of what we do. We see ourselves as stewards of the land. So some of our markers of success is the number of earthworms we have when we fork the soil over, or the number of frogs that we have in the garden, these sorts of things. So they're very important to us. Desley also mentioned the business decision to sell locally. That's because we want to be part of the local community and to be part of ensuring the resilience of our food systems locally in this area.
I think a resilient community is a community that has a strong network, has a strong, they get together, they work together, they play together, they have someone that they can get help from, they're learning from each other, and they have the environment that supports that. Places that they can go, the community gardens, things like that, that families can centre around something that's useful, practical, and is going to actually build resilience.
When you think about a community, the basis of the community is the individual. And then the first primary collective of the community is the family. So in our culture, thankfully, we're very interested in the rights of the individual. But if that individual is selfish and living for themselves, there's very little prospect that a community will thrive, or even that a family will thrive. So I think an understanding that we're all in this together, that we need each other, that we're part of something that's larger than ourselves, is a really important aspect. And so resilience really comes down to this concept of whole community, of yes, the individual doing their part, but only as a part of the larger entity, which is humanity, and we're all in it together.
I think it's a little bit of education for the consumer too, to learn that if tomatoes aren't in season and they're not grown in your local area, then perhaps a salad can actually be enjoyable without a tomato. We tend to want everything that we want every day, when maybe we don't need that. Maybe we can do without, and we'd probably be better off if we learn to eat with the seasons, because our food is going to be more nutrient rich because it's been grown locally, it's got less food kilometres, etc., etc. So there's a bit of education, I think, to be done in our community, and maybe just a bit of sharing. I think it's not just about people growing on our scale, but what about the person who has a little patch in the suburbs, and their neighbour has a little patch, and they're growing beans, but they're growing tomatoes, and they can swap across the fence, and there they have what they need, just in 2 little backyard plots. What it looks like at the moment is lots of greens and your root veggies in winter. It's really an absence of tomatoes, zucchini, eggplant. However, if the people on the coast who don't get frost, who maintain fairly warm conditions, just put up a little poly house of their own, they could probably be eating tomatoes all year round. It doesn't actually, we live in a very temperate area where, except for us that live away from the coast, you could be eating everything all year round pretty well. But it's that desire to.
We're very blessed in this region, you know. We're right on this border between subtropical and temperate climate. So here in our garden we had a -5 degree frost this year. But you know, on the coast, you have frost-free conditions all year round. So, you know, and then we have Comboyne and Red Hill, the elevations, and you know, the bananas, just a little, and avos, and you know, so we're very blessed, you know. And then today we have the technology to extend our seasons, and so we are growing. We were still selling tomatoes in July this year, and you know, because of our simple plastic house. Ricardo's grows all year round, you know. So really, the one thing we do struggle to grow here is grains and fruit, because we don't have the, you know, those chilling hours necessary for the stone fruit and the pome fruit sorts of things. But man, we're as well off as anyone here.
They say the freshness, how fresh it is. They say they want to buy and support a local family farm. They say that, I guess they're voting with their feet of where they want to get their food from. That's probably the main things I've heard from them. Yeah. I think the positive things that are happening is more and more people are finding their voice, either through social media, or there's a lot of documentaries even out there that are sharing what's going on, like I said, the good and evil that's going on in our food world. And a lot of people are waking up to that. We've just found for ourselves, our markets are just increasing, the sales in our markets, the number of people coming to farmers markets, and the number of deliveries and people that are going through like the Port Macquarie Food Hub, which is doing a brilliant job of connecting farmers together and using that connection to serve the community. I think it's just, yeah, there's a lot more of those things happening that are supporting the farmer, but also supporting the community in being able to buy from the farmer. So I think that's pretty brilliant as well.
Advice.
Join a community garden. I think Port Macquarie has one community garden for a huge population. You know, make your own backyard into a community garden. If you've got space and you've got friends who want to grow but they don't have the space, then open your garden up. I mean, all the better to have all those extra hands to help you manage your own garden. Every backyard could be a community garden.
But one of the fundamental things that I think is important is that we inspire our younger generation. As a child, my mum and dad were always avid gardeners, and I never caught the gardening spirit. I was never inspired. To me, it was more work. You know, we've got a 14-year-old that works probably 20 hours a week with me in the garden, and he's fantastic at what he does, and I don't think he's going to choose to be a market garden, and he doesn't always enjoy the work in the garden. Okay, but it's a part of his life, you know.
And I have no doubt all of our children have had this, not all, the last 3 of our children have grown up with this. And one of them, probably the how old is she? The 17-year-old. She often says, Mum, I'm not going to be a market gardener. I'm not going to do this, but I cannot imagine my life without a garden. I cannot imagine having to buy my veggies. And so I'm like, yes, success, tick, we've done it. We don't all need to do this. In fact, if we all had the backyard garden, none of us would probably need to do this because the whole community would be fed by their own backyard or their neighbour's yard or the community plot. But I think we're successful when our kids can't imagine having to buy their stuff from the shops. I think sharing. If you've got a surplus, you plant a cucumber, you're going to have more cucumbers than you need. So share over the fence. Or like a cooperative growing. This person grows this person grows that, and swap it out.
I think there are many people out there who've decided they do need to personally do something about their own food security, and so that's why the run on fertilisers and seedlings and stuff during the COVID situation. That can be really difficult for people if they don't have a knowledge base or an experience base. So one is to find someone that is a grower that they can get advice from. I suggest they just go walking around their community and see whose garden is thriving and say, hey, we want to do this, I want to teach my kids how to grow, could you give us a few pointers? In every neighbourhood there are people that are master gardeners. The second thing is to start simple. Maybe start with a few herbs right at the back door, that are going to be used in the kitchen, which is just inside, and choose a couple of simple crops that they can start with.
Don't start with celery.
Okay. We certainly didn't start with celery.
We didn't start with celery. It took us a while to work up to celery.
Start with lettuce, start with tomatoes, simple things like start with some simple herbs.
Start with greens that you can just bandicoot off.
Take a leaf here and there.
You can grow them for months and months and months, not have to plant another green because you just keep pulling off, just keep topping up the nutrients and it'll keep growing.
Here's a plant of rainbow chard. The bandicoot is just to take a couple of leaves, whatever you want for lunch, or to put in the pot tonight. There you go, and this plant will continue to grow. This plant here has been growing for 4 months, 5 months sort of thing, and it's still producing. So
something that made a big difference to Jack is we were inducting one of our employees, and in the induction we were sharing with the employee our vision and our mission. And later on, Rod was talking to Jack, and Jack said, I never knew that. I never knew, that was our mission, the whole family flourishing, serving our community. And from that point on, his work ethic actually changed. And I think our children need a bigger vision than just, I'm eating it for dinner tonight. Whether it's even just we're sharing it with we're having friends over to eat it for dinner tonight, or whether it's, just something bigger than just self-serving, I guess, and that's kind of where we started about the selfishness. We can do it selfishly, and that'll wither, or we can do it with the abundance and service attitude. And I think that's where kids catch the vision, when it's not just about me, because I don't particularly like greens or whatever it is, but it's about serving.
I think children are best engaged when there's a big issue, when there's something inspiring happening. Something that they can identify with and want to be involved in. So if parents can get passionate about the concept of not only providing food resilience for themselves and their community, but also about giving their children skills necessary for a useful, practical, meaningful life, and they can find ways to inspire their youngsters through success, because success breeds success. And so if we start off small with some lettuce and some tomatoes and stuff like that, and the young person experiences success without the back-breaking labour of a market garden, it'll be the first step towards youngsters having a positive attitude towards their food, because they're excited about, I grew this lettuce, or whatever it is. But then it's the first step towards them realising the importance of it. I'm not articulating myself very well. The key to local food resilience is a large number of diverse family-based businesses growing, producing different foods. So one of the best things local people can do to contribute to that is to recognise that those small family-based businesses aren't in competition, that we all need to have a spirit that there is plenty for all, that we live in a place of abundance, that if you come to the local farmers market, you'll see us selling there, you'll see other growers and resellers there. We're not in competition, okay? We believe there's plenty to go around for all, and to support, the key thing is to support local businesses. As a grower, I am just as interested in the success of fellow growers as I am in my own enterprise, because together we can make a real difference. Whereas just alone, we're going to struggle to make an impact on the great needs our community has.
Yeah, I think that's a real key, and we have open days, and one of our neighbours came to our last open day and saw what we were doing and yes, we want to do that. She now sells at our same market, and to us again, that's success. We've inspired someone to do something with their families that we're doing with our family. We don't care if they sell at the same market as us. We want their success as much as we want our own success.
Because we're convinced there's a really large pie, and we don't need to argue over who gets which size slice. What we can do is work together to build the size of the pie. And as people become more interested in their family's nutrition, we believe that pie is just going to grow and grow.
Yeah, and so what the community can do is, sometimes at a market, someone will come and they'll buy greens from me, they'll buy something else from someone else, and something, support us all in some way if you can. Buy from the Port Macquarie Food Hub. Look out for different cooperatives that are working together, and support them all where you can. We can't support everything because we don't need that many greens or we don't need that many veggies, but just wherever you feel impressed, support it and have that abundance mindset, have the mindset that by supporting one farmer you are actually supporting the others because you're buying locally. Head to our website, order a veggie box any size you like, and we'll deliver it to your door each week.